Amazon is facing multiple lawsuits for allegedly selling materials that teenagers use to kill themselves. Some people are describing that as suicide kits. Reporter Judd Legum published an investigative article detailing how the online retailer made highly concentrated sodium nitrate, which is a lethal industrial chemical, available on its marketplace.
The most recent lawsuits filed on March 30th involves the families of two deceased teens who had no connection to each other than that they purchased sodium nitrate before their untimely suicides. The lawsuit alleges that Amazon facilitated the assembly of so-called suicide kits by selling the dangerous compound and recommending bundling the sale with Tagamet, an antacid that prevents vomiting, and even a book that has instructions for how to use sodium nitrate to die. Legum reports, quote, Amazon users who typed in sodium nitrate saw sodium nitrate suicide as the fifth suggested prompt to complete their search. A user searching for sodium nitrate salt was prompted with sodium nitrate suicide before they could complete the query. According to Legum's report, Amazon has not responded to the two latest lawsuits, but has denied any culpability in previous cases filed.
Legum is a hack. He's a terrible journalist. We had him on the show. I think it was one of your first episodes a year ago. He was the one who said that letter from the Koch network opposing the sanctions was evidence of that they were Russian partisans or something. Do you remember that whole discussion? It was very early on in your rising career. I am not a fan of him. I am not a fan of how he characterized this. I think, in fact, it's total BS.
Tell us why, Robbie.
Well, yes, you can buy products, compounds, chemicals, wide variety of things on Amazon that you can use to kill yourself. That is not Amazon's problem. I think these families, I'm sorry for them, but there are ambulance chasers here. You could purchase Advil. People overdose on any number of pills that are widely variable. Chemicals, cleaning supplies that are easily, you can get in the household, you can buy at the grocery store, the supermarket. Is it those chains' fault? Obviously not. I don't even think, as a libertarian, that it should be necessarily illegal to kill oneself, although I obviously think counseling and resources and therapy should be available for people to make sure they're making this choice in a fully informed way, not under the influence of factors that would be a wrong mistake for them. I have been affected in my own life by suicide. People choosing that option is horrible. So I feel for those people, but it is not something that should be illegal, and this looks like trying to find blame where there really is none to me.
You know what's interesting? When you mentioned that someone could conceivably overdose on Advil, I Googled how difficult is it to overdose on Advil, and you got to
swallow the whole bottle.
Top Google results are suicide hotlines. It's very difficult. I have to scroll down before I get that question answered, which is, I think, what the issue is in this case. It's not should you be allowed to buy these products that I'm sure have other uses other than suicide, but combined are effective mechanisms for suicide, but whether or not Amazon should be prompting you with something like, here's a helpline, along with those other prompts, whether it should prompt you with a book on how to seek help, or how to get mental health support, or how to resolve depression, as opposed to a book on how to kill yourself, and whether or not it should have any responsibility for not doing what Google just did to me right now, is just to say, help is available at the top of my screen, call 988, because I Googled how difficult is it to overdose on Advil.
I mean, I don't know, does Target have the responsibility to put up a sign if you're in an aisle for these chemicals, or you're in an aisle for
is there a difference between Target selling chemical? If you need to put A and B together to kill yourself,
you don't need to.
But just say hypothetically, if the idea is that you cluster these things together, you take the chemical and you take the anti-vomiting medicine, is it okay is there a difference between Target selling one in aisle 1 and one in aisle 10? Versus packaging them together in like a Ziploc, like in a saran wrap bundle, with a sign over it that says, the offing section? I
mean, obviously not. This has to follow from first principles. If it's not and shouldn't be illegal to kill oneself, it should not be and cannot be illegal to sell you the means of doing so. And in fact, in other, I'm seeing a lot of consternation actually from conservative-leaning people about the nation-state of Canada, which has become very, very friendly to the concept of euthanasia. They, in fact, have they have the hotline you can call when you're struggling, when you're wanting suicide, to be talked out of it, and they have a hotline you can call to be sold on the idea of doing so, or explain how you can do it. Like that is that country's commitment to allowing people to do it.
Yeah, I definitely think you have the right to end your life. And I appreciate that, frankly, from a public health perspective, offering someone a hotline to call that helps them understand how they can safely do that might get people off the track of doing so. Because you can also, having a trusted place you can call to talk through your plans could lead you into a mental health conversation that actually it results in you not actually ending your life. So, from a policy perspective, I support that. However, it does strike me that that there's a difference between giving people the option, selling things, being allowed to sell people that allow them that option, and packaging them in a way that almost encourages them or teaches them how to do it. And I'm thinking to that case, I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm thinking about that case where someone was convicted for repeatedly calling someone and telling them to kill themselves.
Yes, I remember that case. That was the first time I was asked to write for the New York Times about that case.
And what did you have to say?
I had an op-ed about it saying that I did not think it was illegal what she did. I thought it was free. It was horrible. It was monstrous. But again, the actions, the person who killed. So this was a friend of a young man who did kill himself horribly. Carbon monoxide in the car, I believe. And this girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or a young teenage female associate of him had really goaded him into it, had texted him, had called him, etc. Again, she seems like a demon woman, but she was successfully prosecuted. But it wasn't. It's like what crime is she an accessory? What?
Do you remember the charge? Do you remember the crime she's charged with?
I don't remember the exact. Her name was Michelle something. Google Robbie Suave New York Times, it might come up.
Okay, big flex. Where's Michelle Carter now?
Michelle Carter, yeah. But it's not illegal for him to commit the act of suicide. So how could it be illegal for him to encourage something that was not? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was the ACLU agreed with me on this case. They said this is a free speech issue.
Yeah.
She has the right to do that.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I do think that what I describe in this Target scenario is akin to what is described in this Amazon scenario and is akin to what is described in this Michelle Carter scenario. But that analogy running through all of that thread running through all of those cases doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome should be that they're all guilty. Look, for best practices, do I think that Amazon should consider including some prompts that are de-escalating? Yes.
Sure.
And if the product of this lawsuit is that they make that choice to avoid similar types of lawsuits, not that these families will actually win, but to avoid having to litigate and spend the money on that, I think that would be a wise move for Amazon. But I think that this does feel like people who are suffering a horrible tragedy, who are looking to place blame somewhere and to find some sense in the
which I understand it's a very natural thing to do. But,
but I don't know that this is a place where the law needs to intervene. I think I agree with you on that one, Robbie. Well, if you or someone you know is feeling suicidal, please do contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255 or go to speakingofsuicide.com/resources for additional resources.
More Rising right after this.